Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, I thank you all for pushing play and deciding to spend a little bit of time with me today. I thought I'd pop on here this morning, and I'm up getting ready to do a little work in my glam room and give y'all a little bit of an update and just, I guess, a little bit of some advice again that I kind of hammered in on one of my previous videos, okay? But if you are new here, your girl retired at 56 years old from the United States Postal Service on December 31st, 2025. And I decided to kind of vlog my journey, vlog this whole retirement process. I did feel like it was kind of a need for it after joining the Federal Retirement Facebook group, which I highly suggest because it has been very helpful for me. And it doesn't have to just be from the Postal Service. Any department in the federal government. If you're a federal worker and you are retired, thinking about retiring, I highly recommend it because I've been able to get a plethora of information, insights, opinions, all the things. But I do say, and I will always say, that you should still do your due diligence and do your own research. I mean, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're watching. But this is on a personal level, my experience, my opinions. That's just what it is. My experience and my opinion. You should always do your own research, okay? But I do find going through this process, it has been helpful being a member or being a part of the retirement Facebook group. Federal retirement Facebook group, because sometimes there's questions, people have answers, some things you didn't even think about. Sometimes when you're just scrolling, like, oh, I didn't think about that. So it's been very, very helpful because I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, trying to get through the OPM is kind of like looking for a needle in a haystack. It is hard. I know when I first started, I was trying to get through to OPM, and I know for 2 or 3 days, nothing. You would just get a recording. It'll tell you it'd be better to try to reach out through email or log in. And if you've been following me, then you know you cannot log into OPM, which is Office of Personnel Management, without your CSA number, which is your Civil Service Annuity number. You need that, as well as your passcode that they will send you to set up your password to even be able to get into OPM to even see any updates. So you're trying to call them. It's hard to get through. So if you get in queue, if they do let you in queue, stay on. I don't even say call and let them call you back. I say just stay in queue until somebody answers. And sometimes you're on hold. I think when I finally was able to get through on that third or fourth attempt, I was on hold probably 30 minutes, probably. So I highly suggest, if you are able to get through and they put you in a queue, just stay on hold, okay? But nonetheless, if you are new and you haven't been watching, I do have 3 previous videos which talk about my why, my how, the early on process. I do even have an update video, and I will have them linked down below in the order that I posted them. So you might want to go back and watch those and kind of follow to catch up, you know what I'm saying, and then come back to this one. But if you just want to stay and watch, great. Let's get into it, okay? So again, I did retire December 31st, 2025. I did not receive my CSA number. According to this, they I guess typed it up January 22nd. So I received it the end of January, my CSA number. Again, that is your Civil Service Annuity number. And you do need that when you either log into OPM after you get all your other information, or if you reach out to them. It's a lot easier if you have that number. I think when I did speak to them, they asked for my Social Security number. I was able to give it to them, and they were able to tell me that they had no information because they had not received any information from my employer, which was the Postal Service. So there was nothing that they could even give me at that time, okay? So when you get this number, you need to put this somewhere in a secure place, okay? Because you're going to need it, okay, to, like, again, to either speak to OPM or to correspond with them if you need to email them, or when it's time for you to log into the site to set up everything. So I received that, okay, and then I guess 3 weeks, I want to say it's been about 3 weeks, because I just got that this week. The date on it says January 23rd, but I just got it Tuesday. And that was Tuesday was February. I'm sorry, y'all. February the 17th. February the 17th. Okay. I got my passcode. Okay. So you will need your CSA number and your passcode to log into the OPM website. And from there, you got to do some verifications and stuff like that. And then it'll allow you to set up, once that's done, it'll allow you to set up your password. Okay. Which I recommend you write all that down. Okay. Now, I'm going to put up on the screen what it looks like once you're able to get in. And we're just going to kind of go through it very briefly because it's really not a whole lot. So once you get all set up and you log in, so it's going to, and you'll click on annuity and it'll have different options like the dashboard, your profile, you know, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But the main thing you want to get down to, you'll look at your status. You'll go all the way down and you'll click on status. And I'm not going through the whole thing. I just really wanted you to just see basically when you are able to see the status, you'll see your check marks. So of course they were notified of my retirement and there's a check mark. Okay. So it just basically OPM has been notified of my retirement. There's no check mark saying that my application has been fully received from my employer. So I don't know if that's true or not. Again, I just logged in on Tuesday. So I don't know if this is accurate or updated. And then the next one you see where it says interim payment issued, there is a check mark because in my last update, I did tell you that I did receive my first interim payment on February the 3rd in the amount of $1,244. And that was for the month of January. Okay. That is not what I'll be getting. That's just what they will be giving me until everything is processed. There's a dash. It shows that I have not been assigned to a specialist. I don't know if that's true or not. I can only go by what is here on the screen. And then, of course, finally, case finalized, meaning everything is done. I know I've gotten everything and and I'm good to go. All right. So let me tell you what it says in the letter that I received. And you know, your girl got to put on her glasses. All right. So basically, when I did receive my passcode and all that, there was a letter in there and it says, "Dear annuitant, we have placed you in interim payment status so that you will have an income while we complete processing your application for benefits. You will receive interim payments until we can determine the exact amount to which you are entitled. Subsequent payments will be issued to arrive on the first business day of each month. Whenever your monthly payment changes, you will receive another notice. As soon as we complete work on your application, we will send you a benefits booklet showing the exact amount of your annuity payments." Okay. And it kind of broke it down how it's based from the first day to the last day of the month and the gross amount. They do not take any federal income taxes out of that interim payment. Okay. It does say your interim payments are calculated at a rate that should be less than your actual earned annuity in order to place your account in payment status quickly as possible while we are determining the full amount you are eligible to receive. It says we use this lower rate to avoid an overpayment, which would have to be recovered from your future annuity payments. Okay. And then it goes on to say other information which may apply to you. Adjustments. The benefits booklet we will send you when we complete work on your application will show your total gross annuity paid to date. An adjustment is usually needed after we have determined the actual amount of your monthly annuity to ensure that you will pay the exact amount due you through the date we complete our work on your application. If the amount due you is more than the total of the gross interim payments made to you, we will pay you the difference. If the total due you is less than the total of the gross interim payments made to you, we will make adjustments to balance your account. If the overpaid interim payments exceed the amount of your next payment, you will be notified and offered the opportunity to respond before we begin to withhold the excess from future annuity payments. Then it goes on to talk about your health benefits and life insurance if you made those elections to keep those, which I did state in one of my previous videos that I elected not to keep my health benefits because my husband does still work, and so I am now on his health benefits. And as far as life insurance, I did not keep the life insurance because my husband and I have life insurance policies outside of our jobs. So I did get on life insurance on his job, and we still have, so we have that over there, and we also have additional life insurance outside of his job. Okay, so I did not keep any of that. And it will talk to you about your federal income tax withholding, any address changes. It talks about your direct deposit, retirement contributions, and then how to contact OPM. So all of that is in the letter along with the passcode that they will send you. Okay, so now that I'm able to get in OPM, so periodically I can get in there. If I haven't heard from them, maybe I can just go in there, log in and check to see if there's been any update, you know, while I'm waiting to hear from them via mail. Which will keep you kind of, I guess, at ease, because it's better. Because like I said, when I first started, you can't get in. You don't know what's going on. You're just kind of sitting in limbo, basically, because you cannot log in without those needed numbers. Okay, your CSA and your passcode. You can't do anything. So you're kind of just in limbo. So even calling them, the only thing they'll probably be able to tell you is either yes, they received your paperwork from your employer, or no, they haven't received it. Because if they haven't received it, there's nothing they're going to be able to tell you. If they have received it, they'll probably just say, yes, it's processing and blah, blah, blah. And maybe we're working on deciding what your interim payment or something like that. Okay. So that's kind of where I am as far as the paperwork. So I'm happy that I can get in there. So knowing that on the first of every month, I will continue to receive the $1,244 every month until everything is completely processed. Okay, so there's that. So that's the update on that. So now let's just get into some things that I just want to continue to hammer in on briefly. If you are thinking about retiring in 2026 or 2027 or beyond, a little bit of advice that I've given in previous videos, I'm going to give again. Again, I'm speaking as a former federal worker. Okay, I don't know how that works on the state and local or county level. I'm not for sure. But as a former United States postal worker, we were allowed to carry over, and I was a clerk, 520 hours. So a clerk and a mail handler could carry over 520 hours over into the next year. Okay. Anything over that, you either had to do must take, or you would lose it, or you could sell back a couple of weeks. Okay. Now, let me say this. A couple of things I would suggest. Okay. Either A, make sure that your emergency fund will take care of your bills for at least 6 months. At least. Okay. If you still have a mortgage, you still pay a car payment, or even if you paid your mortgage, you don't have a car payment, but you have insurance on your home, insurance on your cars, you're paying taxes, of course, on your home. And this is the beginning of the year. Most taxes are coming due on your property. If you're helping kids in college, you have credit card bills, your groceries, your utility bills, all those things that still have to be paid. Okay? Make sure that you know what that total is, and that you have either enough in your emergency fund to cover those bills, and it may be even a little bit more than that in case of an emergency. Need a battery, need some tires, something breaks down in the house. We always know that there's always something. Making sure that you have enough in your emergency fund to pay all your bills for at least 6 months, and a little bit of extra in case there is something that comes up that you weren't expecting. Okay. Now, if you don't have an emergency fund, this is where I feel like your annual leave can be a blessing. Okay, it's the beginning of the year, especially if you work for the Postal Service, because I'm speaking as a postal worker. I'm not for sure how it works in any other federal department. It may be the same, it may not. I don't know. You can leave some of that in the comments. We are advanced our annual leave at the beginning of the year. Now, some of you may have been good. Like me, I was doing my best when I started thinking about retirement at 50 to start trying to carry over so many weeks, days, whatever, every year till I got to my maximum 520. Now, again, I didn't have 520 hours. I had a lot less than that, but I still had a generous amount, which I'm very thankful for, okay? So, if you are thinking about retiring maybe the end of this year and you know for a fact you have no, say, PTO, which is paid time off, or annual leave accrued, maybe you want to push out your retirement to the end of the year, because for the Postal Service, annual leave is advanced, meaning you've got to work and earn that annual leave, okay? So if you decide to retire in March, May, or something like that, you're not going to get that full 520 hours on your last check. You're only going to get what you've earned, which is not going to be a lot, especially if you go early in the year. If you go in June or July, you'll only be able to earn half of that. Okay, and I hope that's making sense, especially if you work for the Postal Service, or if this is the same way for all federal departments. Okay, so if you have not accumulated your max amount of your annual leave and you don't have an emergency fund, that may be an option for you to think about. I know you're tired, baby. I know you are, and I know you are ready to retire. But what you don't want to do, because retirement is a beautiful, wonderful thing, but you don't want to be stressed out through this process because you retire on this day thinking you're going to get all your monies on the following week or no, that's not how this works. Okay, so if you go back and watch my other videos, I'm talking about this. Okay, so I just want to hammer this in again. Okay, especially if you didn't watch those videos. Okay, you might want to go back and watch those because I really talk about it. If you don't have an emergency fund and a little extra for something that may come up, you may not want to retire so early in the year because you're going to need to accrue that annual leave and you want to earn it, okay? So that when you retire on that following check, usually, because they say 2 to 3, but I was lucky. I retired, I got my last check, and then I got my final check, which also had the remainder of my annual leave. Okay, that's money you can put in the bank. That can be your emergency fund or something to add to whatever you have in your emergency fund. I highly suggest it. So if you are not a former postal worker, you're not really for sure, you work in other departments, look into that to see if you are paid whatever annual leave that you have left. If you are, what is the max you can have? See how much that is and work towards that. Because let me tell you something, the bills keep coming, you know. Even if you did the right thing, you paid off your house, you paid off your car, you paid off your credit cards. Yeah, it's tax time, property taxes. You got to pay your property taxes. The utility bills are still here. You still got to buy groceries. I don't know if you're helping anybody. Your kids maybe are in college or maybe they're having a hard time because we know what this economy is looking like. So maybe you're being a little bit supportive for them. Yes. And you don't want to be sitting there stressing about that because you don't have an emergency fund. You didn't have any annual leave and you were just thinking that, oh, when I retire, I'm going to get my retirement check the next month. No, you're not. Okay. So I highly, highly suggest that you look into how that works. If you are not a postal worker like I was, how does it work in any other federal department you work in or on a state and local level as far as any PTO or annual leave? Also, as far as your thrift savings plan, your 401k, your 403, or whatever that number is as far as your retirement. Most of the time, and I see for us that you don't have access to it, to whether you take all your money out, take some of it out, you move it into a Roth, or you just leave it. Okay, you really don't want to do nothing, or really can't do anything to it until your status changes to separated. Okay, and I talk about that too, that I went in a couple of times and it didn't show that, and then finally it did. And I talk about my plans in previous videos, what some of the things that I was going to do with some of my money. And I'm not going to go all into it because I really want to wait till everything's finalized and I've done some of the other things so I can lay out my plan, or me and my husband's plan moving forward. But you're not going to be able to go in there and just get some money from your TSP to hold you over. So I want to make sure that you're thinking about these things before you retire. Okay. But if you did right, you've got annual, you got an emergency fund, everything's paid off, you're good. You're not stressed. You're not worried if this process takes, 3 to 6 months. Great. Then I ain't talking to you. But if you haven't and you still got the bills and you don't have the emergency fund, then annual leave will be a good way to kind of bridge that gap to have that money. I'm not saying don't retire, but I'm saying look at what you've got to pay out every month and make sure that there is monies somewhere that can cover you until this process, which could take 3 to 6 months and maybe longer. I've talked about in my last video, someone said they retired in, I can't remember if it was March or April or something like that, and they still have not even received an interim payment. So believe me, I say I am definitely thankful and grateful that mine is progressing and moving along. But let's be real, $1,244 is not a lot of money. I pay the utility bills in this house. Okay. And I also pay the insurance on our vehicles, along with helping with other things. $1,244 that's not any money. It's not. So I was glad that I had some annual leave that I had accumulated, and I wish I would have had the full 520, which would have been, I think, a little over 19,000 minus taxes or whatever. But 440 was like a little over 15,000. Okay, so the more you have, the better, and that's money in the bank. So think about that. I know you're ready to go. I know you're ready to push that button, and you can start the process at least 6 months out. So really sit down with yourself, with your notes, with what you owe out every month, what has to be paid, okay? Because we don't want to retire, which is supposed to be a wonderful, exciting time, just to get stressed and can't pay our bills, can't put food on the table. Let's not do that, okay? Let's not go from working to being retired, and in retirement, you're just stressed and overwhelmed because this process is taking longer than you thought, okay? So really sit down with your partner, your spouse, or if it's just you and you're single and you're doing this, look at your obligations, your monthly obligations, and see if you can meet those obligations with what you have. And if not, working to get enough annual leave and cashing it out on your last check to be able to add to that or put in the bank, help you monthly. Okay, so you've got to run the numbers. You got to make sure that you're going to be okay, because we don't want this wonderful, joyous occasion to turn into a, oh my God, what have I done? Okay, let's not do that. Okay, again, I would definitely recommend you signing up for one of the federal retirement Facebook groups. A lot of people on there are so helpful and all of that. But again, do your due diligence. I'm thankful that you're here and you're watching. But again, this is my experience. These are my opinions, and I'm not a financial advisor. Anything that I say or do regarding my situation is what I'm doing and what I feel is best for me and my husband. So always do your research, okay? But that's kind of where we are in my retirement process. I don't want to hold you long. As you can see, your girl is up in the glam room and I'm about to get ready to do some work. And get started. So I wanted to thank you for watching, and definitely go back and watch those videos if you are new here and you haven't seen those. I give a lot more information, and I'm going to continue to update as things progress along, so you can just see from beginning to end, how long it took. Okay. So again, I retired December 31st, 2025. It is now February 22nd. And I've received one interim payment of $1,244. And that's what I will receive ongoing until my everything is finalized and processed and done, in case can be updated in my OPM. So I'm going to continue to update you as things come along. Again, I thank you all for tuning in, for watching. I appreciate it more than you know. All right. So if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. Leave me a comment. Again, I respond to my comments. Share my video. Okay. For anybody you know that is still working, whether they got a year, 2 years, 5, 10 years out, share it, because this is a great information. Because I always tell people retirement is possible with a plan. And the longer you have to execute that plan, the better. And so this may be some great information for somebody who is working. So even if they've got 10, 15, 20 more years, it gives them something to think about, so that they can sit down with themselves or with someone and look at their situation and start thinking about what is the plan. So you don't have to work your entire life. Okay. Because some people say, I'll never be able to retire. Well, I don't know where you are in life, but hopefully something that I have said or will say will make you think otherwise. Okay. That yes, it is possible to retire. Okay. And that there may be other options for retirement. You may not be able to retire within the United States. You may have to retire somewhere else. But I talked about that a little bit on another video, and I'm definitely going to go into that when we get to the plan. I'll go more into depth of that, especially what me and my husband have decided to do moving forward in retirement. Okay. So again, thank you. I love you. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And until next time, Cami loves you. Mwah.